do you need a fan in your van? Well, imagine this. You're on an epic summer road trip, the sun is blasting, and you're roasting inside your van. That's where a fan comes to the rescue. It keeps you cool, circulates fresh air, and makes life on the road a breeze. See what I did there? I'm ready when you are, so let's install this fan. First, let's gather all the tools and materials we'll need for this project. Obviously, we need a fan, so I got this Maxxair fan, which comes with the fan unit itself, a roof flange piece, a garnish ring, and some hardware. Additionally, we'll need an adapter from DIYvan.com, specifically designed for the Ford Transit Connect, some lap sealant, marine adhesive sealant, butyl tape, a jigsaw or any saw that can cut through metal, a miter saw, a trash bag to catch metal filings, clamps, a drill, and drill bits, a rust prevention product like the Pour 15 Stop Rust Kit, which I talked about in my last video, a metal file, tape measure, a 14x14 template, safety goggles, and a shop vac. For the frame on the inside of the van, we'll need some 2x2 pine wood. I think this is like 8 feet or so, and a pocket hole jig with pocket hole screws. Now that we have all of our materials, let's start building our frame. We need to measure it properly to ensure a snug fit against the inside of our roof flange. I'm gonna cut 4 pieces to a size of about 15¼ inch. Always remember to double check your measurements before you make any important cuts. This thing is looking pretty good, so let's go screw it together. This pocket hole jig I got is super handy. It'll save you a lot of time and it's a lot more precise, so I'd recommend getting one if you plan to do more woodworking on your van. I drilled 2 pocket hole screws in each corner and used 2½ inch pocket hole screws to join them. You want to make sure you're using actual pocket hole screws and not regular screws for this, otherwise you could end up splitting your wood, and we do not want that. This frame is looking pretty good. It was a little too tight around the flange, but I sanded it down and now it's fitting nice and snug. The next thing we're gonna do is measure and determine the exact location for cutting the hole in our van. This is probably the most important step because once we cut that hole in our van, there's not really any going back. So give it a big long think, envision exactly where you want your fan to go, and make sure there's no obstructions on the inside of your van. I think the best way to do this is to make a 14x14 cardboard template, find the center of the template, mark it on the inside of your van, and drill a hole through the center. Then go to the top of your van, find the center, and trace around with the template and/or the adapter. Again, always double check your measurements. Then put some painter's tape around the edges where you traced to help guide your cut and catch any metal shavings. It's about time to cut a hole in our van, so we're gonna tape up our plastic bag to catch any metal shavings. Next, we're gonna drill some pilot holes in each corner so we can stick our jigsaw blade through and turn the blade at the corners. Now, we start cutting. Well, the blade literally broke off, so I guess we're gonna have to find another tool. This jigsaw we just found laying around the shop. We did test it on metal and it worked, but apparently it's not strong enough for my van, so just make sure you have the right blades. Luckily, we found some more blades and continued to cut. Plastic bag actually caught the metal piece. I was expecting for it to tear right through, but it actually caught it. Alright, we gotta see if this thing actually fits. Yes! Yes, it fits perfect. There's like barely any wiggle room. I am very happy with this. So now that we have this massive hole in our van, we gotta file down these metal edges. Then we're gonna put our roof flange back on and drill more pilot holes where the screws are gonna go. Make sure to clean up any metal shavings as you go. Next, we're gonna prepare our surface for rust prevention by cleaning it thoroughly using this cleaner degreaser and metal prep. Then, we'll apply the paint and let it dry. We're over halfway done at this point, and now it's time to install our roof adapter. We're gonna use this marine adhesive sealant so it will sit nice and tight on the roof and no water will get in. This stuff was really hard to get out, so if it looks like I'm struggling, that's because I am. As per the instructions, we're gonna add 2 1/8" beads of sealant around the entire adapter. Once we're done applying our sealant, let's smash this thing into the roof like a sandwich. Grab all your available clamps and squeeze that thing into the van.
And I come to squeeze!
Then we can appreciate this clamp monster we've created. I'm gonna let that cure for about 24 hours and then we're gonna install the receiving flange. Alright, let's remove these clamps and get ready to install our roof flange. This marine sealant worked super well. This thing is not going anywhere. Let's take our butyl tape, lay it down on all sides of the adapter, then clamp the roof flange on top for some added support. We're gonna install our frame pretty soon, but there's a few things I need to figure out first. So these are the screws that actually came with the fan, but these are like way too small. So I'm actually gonna use these 2" screws, which will hold on to the wood frame a lot better. The other thing I did was cut some grooves in my frame, just so it would sit a little more flush with the ridges in the ceiling. The frame fits well, and now it's time to screw it in. Solid. Dude, this isn't going anywhere. Look at this. Yeah, this thing is solid AF. It's not going anywhere. I'm happy with it so far, but we're not done yet. We need to make this thing weatherproof. We cannot have any water getting in this thing, otherwise we're gonna have some serious problems down the road. So now, it's time to add our lap sealant. Let's clean our surface again and then put some painter's tape down. This tape should help keep the line nice and smooth and not so messy because, well, this lap sealant is really messy and sticky and it gets everywhere.
I don't like sand. It's coarse and rough and irritating, and it gets everywhere.
Make sure you wear gloves because this stuff does not come off your hands. Apply the sealant all the way around and be generous with it. We want to fill all the holes, even the screw holes. The sealant will self-level over time, so it'll look a little bit better once it settles down. And although it's not explicitly stated on the label, it typically takes a few days or more for it to fully cure. So just let it sit and do its thing. If you're wondering how much of this stuff you'll need, one 10-ounce tube was exactly enough for this job. Thank you, Mr. Lap Seal. Finally, it's time to install the fan itself. There's 4 holes to screw into the fan, and you may have to move these silver tabs a little bit so the screws will fit in better, but that's about it. We got the fan installed. We tested it out and it works great. You can feel wind. It's a good sign. That is fantastic. We can intake and exhaust air as we please. The final step is to clean your van. I just want to emphasize that you do not want these metal shavings in or on your van, so make sure you give it a good clean. Overall, I'm stoked on the work we've done here. We made a frame, cut a hole in the van, made this thing weatherproof, and it was all pretty simple, honestly. If you want to see the process of how I gutted my van, watch this video. Thanks for watching, bye.
I don't like sand.